Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday to everyone here, and we want to welcome you to the 2025 CPM Manager Practicum presentation. Good morning, my name is Linda Therese. I'm the Human Resources Director, and we want to welcome each and every one of you for being here this morning. We are honored to have each of you here today to witness a accumulation of months of dedication, learning, and leadership development by our CPM candidates, where some of them are here with us this morning. This program represents a commitment to excellence in public service, and today's presentations will highlight innovative solutions, thoughtful analysis, and the practical application of skills gained throughout the CPM journey. Your presence here means a great deal, not just to our presenters, but to the future of effective and visionary public management in our community and beyond. We thank you for supporting our professional growth and helping celebrate the achievements of these emerging leaders. Management took a different position, and about 3 years ago, we brought back the CPM program to the city of Laredo through collaborative efforts with Dr. Haruna at Texas International University. We are very fortunate that we have such a strong bond with the university, and Ms. Susan Foster, I think she's in here somewhere because somewhere here. There she is. Welcome. I always see her. But without the collaborative effort of both the city and the university, we're not able to do what we do in public administration. So we get to see what the formal training is and how we apply it here. We're very fortunate. We took it a step different this year when we added now a panel. I'd like to introduce our panelists this morning. This panel will be actually evaluating the practicums that will be presented. I'd like to introduce Ms. Rossi Chase. She represents the TN. We have Dr. Mukherjee. She is with Texas A&M International University. We also have the Honorable Raul Reyes. And we also have Ms. Martha Starr with UISD Internal Audit. In addition to our panelists, we also have Dr. Haruna with Texas A&M International University. Ms. Susan Foster, she also is representing Texas A&M. We have Assistant City Manager Jose Valdez. City Secretary Mario Maldonado. Our Finance Director Francisco Mata. Our Budget Director Jesus Esparza. Internal Auditor Tina R. Rodriguez. And our Airport Director Gilberto Sanchez. And we also be reminded, I have Elsa Lamos at the bridge, our Bridge Director. I also want to take this opportunity to also thank my employee relations team of the Human Resources Department. It's being led by Zulema Ortiz. If anybody here works, she's supported with Jennifer Segovia and Marta Mejia as her team. At this point, I'd like to let's enjoy today's presentations and the insight, creativity, and the professionalism they're going to bring to you. We welcome you, and we want to thank you for joining us. And I think at this point, Dr. Haruna is also going to explain what the CPM program does for the city of Laredo. Would you join us, please? Dr. Haruna, right here starts.
Good morning, everyone. I want to congratulate all of you, all the CPM participants. They have done a wonderful job, but we couldn't have done it without the support of the city of Laredo. So I want to say thank you to the management, to City Council for giving us a chance to deliver the CPM course to all of you. We started this in 2022, and I'm happy to report that since 2022 we have done well. We've had very good participation, very well engaged professionals who have shared their experiences with us. And as CPM faculty, we've actually enjoyed working with our colleagues here in the industry. So you all bring to us knowledge and experience that we cannot get just sitting there in the university. So thank you for coming and congratulations. I want to say thank you to all our stakeholders, all the individuals who have actually participated. So we have with us, as Mr. Niente has already mentioned, we have Mr. Niente who's been leading the HR team and helping to identify individuals who can actually make a difference by taking the CPM program. So thank you so much, Mr. And we couldn't have done it without Ms. Foster. Ms. Foster is here. Ms. Foster is the director over there at Texas A&M International University, my colleague and good friend. And she's so dedicated and she's so hardworking. We could never have done this without her support and without her input. Thank you so much, Ms. Foster. At this point, I just want to say thank you to the panelists. You all bring a different perspective, a new pair of eyes to look at what we have done together with our faculty, CPM faculty. Federico is here. Federico is a CPM faculty member who has delivered since 2023 and really get his support all the time. So, but this panel is going to give us a different perspective, and we have a lot of expectation from them. And we hope that they will provide you with feedback that you're going to use. For those of you who want to publish, we will assist you, help you to publish. That is to get your practicum to a different level, to share your practicum with everybody in the CPM family across the state of Texas and across the US. Something else I wanted to mention before I take my seat. There are three things about the CPM program that I never forget to mention. And that is, first and foremost, it's about professional development. And professional development is about change. So what we do in the CPM program is to allow you to share your experience and also to exchange ideas with the CPM faculty, so you can come up with creative solutions for problems that you have identified. So you've identified these problems, so you can go back to your departments energized and ready to bring about change. So please, CPM is all about change. It's all about professional development and change. So let's keep that in mind. And then the second thing I want to mention very quickly, we have a contract with Texas State University over there in San Marcos. And since 2022, they have given us that contract to be able to deliver the CPM. We've worked with them, and they are very happy with the way that we are delivering it. 2 weeks ago, I was with the director over there in DC. So we had a CPM panel, and we were presenting to other people, other CPM colleagues who are delivering CPM courses across the United States. So it was very, very energizing. And they were very happy with what we are doing here in Laredo. And I'm happy to report that the Texas CPM director will be visiting with us. So he will visit with us and visit with the alumni and get to hear what your experiences are. And then the final thing I'd like to mention is that the problems that we are going to hear, the issues that we are going to discuss today, okay, they are all practical. I don't want to come across as we are delivering another university course that is very intellectual and that is very academic with very little practical relevance. No, what they are doing today is actually of great value and relevance to the work that they do. So I want you to keep that in mind. So the practicum that they're going to report today is very feasible. Each of them is very feasible. I've read through them so many times. They are doable, and they are actually problem-solving solutions. So they are emphasizing what they are doing in the departments and where they are doing it, why they are doing it, how they are doing it, and how they can move forward with their departments and with their colleagues. So at this point, I just want to say thank you to all of you, to our guests, again to City Management, City Council. We are very, very grateful for the opportunity to work with City of Laredo to be able to deliver the CPM courses. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for the opportunity to share these ideas with you. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Herrera, for those kind words. We'll get started this morning. We're going to have Ruby Zavala, who will be our first presenter. She is the Assistant Finance Director. Her topic is going to be finding strategies and new revenue sources that will aid the fiscal health of the City of Laredo. Focus on potential increase of bridge toll rates. Ms. Ruby, you ready?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, the panelists, for taking some time from your busy schedule to come and hear our CPM presentations. I do really appreciate it. I do want to thank Mr. Neb as well for giving us the opportunity to complete this program. And a very special thanks to all my teammates. They have really given me the support to do this. My practicum is going to be in finding strategies and revenue sources to aid the fiscal health in Laredo. My focus is the potential increase of bridge toll rates. And I just want to point out that this study is made for when the city is ready. It's nothing that has to be implemented today. I do understand that the market, and we all know the market is fluctuating. Luckily, we heard as of this morning that the tariffs were stopped, but all these are factors that we need to take into consideration. So this study, when it was done, it is something for us to consider and for us to use the city for it to be implemented whenever they feel that they can implement. Thank you so much. So the intent of this practicum is to gain a comprehensive understanding, experience, and knowledge through research and exploration of new ideas that will hopefully provide innovative opportunities to generate new revenue streams and strategies. Like I mentioned, I chose to focus on revenue impacts and increase in the bridge system. Sorry, it's okay. Thank you. So as you know, with time, the city keeps growing. As the city keeps growing, so do the expenditures of the city, and with those come cost of living adjustments, more addition to public safety, and contractual obligations. The only thing that the city always faces is that revenues never keep up with expenditures. Expenditures keep growing, and revenues can never seem to keep up with them. So we do have to look for another revenue streams. In this case, we are looking at the potential increase of bridge toll rates and how this affects the bridge system and also general fund, and how and what expenditures are going to be tied into this increase. A little background on the city of Laredo. The city of Laredo is situated in the southern Texas, right on the banks of the Rio Grande River. Has an estimated population of approximately 257,000, a binational population of 730,000, and that's with Nuevo Laredo combined. It is the 11th largest state in the city of Texas, and the largest inland port in the United States. In 2023, it was ranked the nation's #1 port in air, sea, and land. And I was just informed that in actual 2024, but this report was just recently released, they also ranked for 2024 the #1 port in the United States. So the total trading billions for 2023, we had 319.61 billion. In exports, it amounts to 123.18, with imports being at 196.73. The city of Laredo is the only city actually that has bridges with two bordering states, which is the state of Tamaulipas. We have three: bridge #1, bridge 2, and bridge #4. And with the Mexican state of Nuevo León, Colombia, that's bridge #3. It is very important for us to state that the bridge revenues are crucial for sustaining bridge operations and contribute yearly to sustain the general fund also. By resolution in September of 1998, the city adopted for 50% of the tolls to be transferred to the general fund. For this fiscal year, 44 million have been budgeted under general fund in order to sustain its operations. Okay, so literature review. We had to do literature review in order to sustain our research. So the question was, will we're concerned about traffic volume, will it be affected by the increase in tolls? And as we were doing the research, we know that Mexico and the USA are undeniably strong partners when it comes to both non-monetary and monetary capital, material flows, tourism, especially cultural influence. All the volume in daily traffic has impact on the overall capacity of the bridges. And just to give you a brief number, for FY24, we had about 2.8 million in pedestrian crossings in 2024 and 8 million vehicles in total for 2024. It is also very important to know that the bridges, how they're set up, there has been a lot of research and logistical research, and a lot of the businesses, if you see, they're already set up here in Laredo, and because they have invested thousands of dollars in doing research to see what is the most efficient route. And we are blessed in being in the center, at the heart of the main artery, which is the trade corridor, I-35, and so all these businesses are already set up here in Laredo because it is the most effective and efficient route for trade. So there has actually been previous studies done on toll rate increases and how this affects traffic volume. There's a study that was conducted at the University of El Paso that examined the impacts of the bridges. And what they found out that there was three factors that really affect traffic volume, and that would be employment, the industrial production index, and the real exchange rate. And when we say real industrial production index, is manufacturing, are there jobs, are there goods and services being traded back and forth, and with the Mexican also, for an example, the real exchange rate would be the Mexican peso. If you have a weaker Mexican peso, then you'll know that pedestrians and non-commercial will probably be affected because they won't be coming for tourists. However, for imports, the United States, with a weaker peso, we import more. So it's a correlation. But what the study shows is that if you increase tolls, they have minimal impacts. The toll rates, it has minimal impacts on volume, on traffic volume. So that's what we are trying to establish. In a separate study conducted, it was noted that bridge wait times were identified as a main factor hindering efficiency. Researchers estimated that a 10-minute reduction in border wait times might translate into an additional 312 million of cargo flows annually, as well as the potential to create thousands of new jobs, having the positive impacts on both economics. And here, research basically suggests, a lot of the research that we went through is that what would help here is the enhanced communication and cooperations on the binational level between the Mexican government and the U.S. government. Like, there has to be a lot of coordination in order to go ahead and correct all this. If it's either by improving technology or coordinating between two states. So once again, based on the analysis of various studies, it was consistently found that exchange rates and employment rates account for more than the variation in traffic across the bridges than actually increases in tolls. Policy implications. So research found that some of the reasons why stakeholders are willing to increase toll rates are for these main reasons: geographic market size and also geographic location. And like I mentioned, we are on the main trade route corridor. We are blessed. We have the I-35, which is the main artery for trade, and the willingness to charge higher toll rates for cargo vehicles. And this is where right now you will see the structure and rate study that happened between commercial and non-commercial vehicles. A lot of them, they are more willing to charge or increase rates when on the commercial side. And the traffic congestion, the bottlenecks, and the solutions being provided in order to alleviate all these issues. But in many regions, it is ultimately funding constraints and the lack of funding that has them to increase tolls. The methodology. What is the methodology that was implemented in this research? The study examined toll rates across different cities, which is Brownsville, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, El Paso, McAllen, and FAR. And it further evaluated the economic effects of raising toll rates by varying amounts. We went ahead and analyzed the quantitative analysis with the qualitative insights. So basically from our finance department, from our bridge, our budget and engineering professionals that they went ahead and also analyzed and gave me feedback on the needs of the bridge and the capital expenditures that right now are in need in order to alleviate some of the congestion problems that the city is facing right now. I do have to point out that some of the data analysis and a lot of my research was obtained from the Texas Department of Transportation, Texas-Mexico International Bridges, in order to identify all the ports of entries and be able to compare them, and also from the January 25 Texas Department of Transportation Border District Trade Transportation Activities Report, and this is to account for northbound traffic. They are the ones that collect all the northbound traffic for all of the border crossings. We only have for the city southbound. Since this is where we collect our actual revenues, we have all the information for southbound. Okay, this is the primary research data, and this is basically for illustration purposes. So you can see our ports of entry right here. We have the ones being compared: Brownsville, Fort McAllen, Laredo, Eagle Pass, and Del Rio. And even though El Paso is outside of the customs district, it was still being compared because that's one of the ports of entry that actually research was already conducted by the University of El Paso on toll rates. Okay, so this information is very important. This is southbound traffic volume revenue data from 2021 to 2024. This is where we get our money, our revenue. The city of Laredo, or southbound traffic, we're on our tolls, so collection. So if you look at 2021 to 2022, you'll see an increase in revenue of 15% and 28% in traffic volume, which is 64.9 million to 74.4, and on vehicles, 5.5 to 7 million. You'll see that it is a substantial amount, and the reason behind it is because we had just gotten out of the COVID pandemic. So that's why you see a big increase. However, from 2022 to 2023, you'll see that it stabilizes, and it's going to be a consistent rate of increase between revenues, 7%, and traffic volume of 8%, which gives you your revenue 74 million to 79 million increase, and 7 million vehicles to 7.6 million vehicles. And then the same thing, you can see the same pattern. From 2023 to 2024, you still have an increase in revenue of 6%, and a traffic volume increase of 5%. However, for the purpose of this research and this practicum, and because of market fluctuations, and we cannot tell how the economy is going to be, the analysis was based strictly on actual figures. So in order to do the analysis, I did not use like a projection. I didn't project, even though it's steadily showing that there's going to be a 5%, 3% increase in traffic. I just did it to remain conservative, to have a conservative figure. With using 2024, fiscal 2024 numbers. I'm sorry. Are you seeing this like I am exit? Okay, there you go. Did I skip one?
Yeah.
Okay, right there. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. So this one is for illustration purposes. This one does show northbound commercial crossings a comparison. So here this data is provided by the Department of Transportation Border District Trade, and you can just see the trade in commercial traffic for Laredo is absolutely way larger than the other ones. And as a matter of fact, if you add all the other commercial, they only amount to 70% of Laredo's traffic. Southbound commercial cross comparison. The table includes by national population of border cities along with its commercial traffic for 2023 and references to who operates each respective bridge. So for example, here you'll see Brownsville, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, and they're by national population. Either Brownsville with Matamoros, Del Rio with Ciudad Acuña, Eagle Pass with Piedras Negras, and how many bridges it operates. Even though Laredo is the third lowest population, they have the highest volume in trade for commercial crossings. Also, all these bridges, with the exception of Brownsville, and that's because Brownsville has an actual train right next to one of their bridges. They're owned and operated by their cities, and in them also the Union Pacific. On the Mexican side, of course, they're owned by the Mexican government and operated by there's a term, CAPUFE, that is correct. So it's Caminos y Puentes Federales de Ingresos Conexos. And for the same thing for the other ports. This slide right here is mainly for illustration purposes. So you can have a comparison of all the other cities, Eagle Pass, Hidalgo, Laredo, and their commercial crossings throughout the years. It's mainly just for reference purposes. As you can see, they also had lower, everybody was affected by COVID, so their numbers were low during those years. Okay, this is where the actual comparison comes from, the toll rate comparison of the other cities coming. Before I start comparing, I want you to keep in mind that the last time that the city of Laredo did any rate increases for non-commercial was 12 years ago. So 12 years ago, it hasn't been adjusted for inflation or any analysis has been done on increasing it, right? So we have 12 years that we have not increased any rates for non-commercial, and we have 8 years that we have not increased any rates for commercial trucks, and 7 years that there hasn't been any increases for pedestrians. The other cities, I went ahead and see, and they do make analysis more recent. For example, Del Rio updated theirs in 2018, FAR in 2024, Eagle Pass in 2023, Brownsville in 2022, and Hidalgo McAllen in 2024. Okay, so if you take a look at here, the information compounded in Table 2 has been gathered from different sources in respective cities to compare the toll rates between different ports of entry. For example, if you look at a commercial trucks, the 2-axle, you'll see that in McAllen, we're charging $11.25 for a 2-axle. Laredo's at $9.50. Brownsville, $11. Eagle Pass, $11. FAR is at $16.25. And Del Rio is at $13.50. Now, the city of Laredo gets most of its commercial traffic and most of its revenue from the 5-axle, which is our 18-wheelers. So even then, if you take a comparison there, Laredo's at $23.75, and you go to Eagle Pass $27.50, FAR $27.25, and Del Rio at $33.75. Okay, let me give you a little background information on the bridges right now. On April 29, 2022, the city of Laredo applied for a presidential permit for the expansion of the existing Laredo World Trade Bridge and to allow for additional of an adjacent span to the existing international bridges. This would accommodate increased traffic volume, improve security and vehicular safety. It would add an additional 8-lane bridge for northbound traffic adjacent but not parallel to the existing 8-lane bridge, and also an additional 2 lanes for southbound traffic on north side of the existing bridge. On May 31st, the permit was approved, commencing the beginning of the World Trade Bridge expansion project. For the Columbia Bridge, the presidential permit was submitted to the Department of State on November 14, 2024. As of March 10, 2025, the application was deemed completed. They have 120 days, and this is the Department of State and the White House, 120 days to review and approve the application. If there's no action, then it is automatically approved. And this is just for visual purposes. If you see here, this is a World Trade Bridge expansion. What I was talking about on the existing one, we will be adding 2 lanes, and the bridge adjacent to it, it will be the one for 8 lanes. This is the World Trade expansion. And the Columbia Bridge expansion, you'll see they're adding 2 spans. One is going to go southbound, and the other one's going to go northbound, and both of them is going to add 4 lanes to each. Okay, so now that we have seen the projects that have to happen for the Columbia expansions in order to help with the bottlenecks and congestion that are happening currently in the city, now we have to talk about the expenditure side of it, the capital improvements plan and the debt service payment, because the city does not have right now currently the funding to make those projects happen, so they do have to incur a debt service payment in order to get them. So if you look at your screens from 2026 to 2030, those are the unfunded expenditures that cover the Columbia expansion and the Columbia Port of Entry. That will be 2026 to 2030, an approximately amount of $150 million. So based on the analysis of the bridge system's unfunded expenditures, the city's financial advisors have projected that if the city intends to issue bonds to finance other projects outlined in Table 1, which is fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 30, and considering that the bridge has a bond rating system or current single rating of an A, at a 5%, the following scenario can be anticipated. Should the city choose to finance approximately 150 million over 5 years, the estimated yearly debt service payment will be about $13 million. And we have to consider that these rates might fluctuate, or the amount might slightly fluctuate because of depending on market conditions. Okay, I know this table looks a little bit intimidating, but this is the actual. This is the actual analysis that had to take place in order for us to see, how much revenue are we going to be collecting. So I'll try my best to explain right here. This is the category right here: non-commercial, commercial, and pedestrians. Currently, the city of Laredo is charging $175 per axle for the non-commercial, $4.75 per axle on commercial trucks, and $1 for pedestrians. Since like I had mentioned, when this analysis was done, we were not going to use any projections that we were going to make more. We're going to do it on actual figures, correct? So these figures are from October to September of 2024. And I want to thank here the Bridge Department and also our budget analysts, because they all came together. They helped me because we needed to separate all this by axles to see how many axles, and I had to tie this number to our financial reporting number. So we made 83 million. We had to make sure that 83 million was being reported, and everything was tying. So where you see the green line is the proposed increases and additional revenues generated. So there are different options: by $1, $1.25, $1.50, and $2. Now, let's keep in mind that the legislative body can later use this information for their needs. But for the purpose of my practicum, I only want to cover debt service for the expansion of the bridges, correct? So if you look at the $1 and they decide non-commercial to increase by $1, it would generate an additional revenue of $10 million. If you do the same thing for the commercial trucks and raise it by $1, it will raise $13 million for a total of $23 million. Same thing with 125, you'll generate 29 million. If you do 150, 34 million, and if you do $2, 46 million additional revenue. However, like I said, we're only trying to cover here the debt service payment, and as per resolution, the 50% that gets transferred to general fund. So for that, it was the $1 increase on non-commercial, and $1.25 for commercial vehicles that would generate an additional revenue of 26.4 million, which would cover your 50% to general fund and your 13 million to cover your debt service payment and be able to do the expansions of Colombia and also of the world trade. So needless to say, my recommendations would be the increase of $1 per axle on non-commercial and $1.25 per axle for commercial vehicles. This proposed adjustment should cover the debt service payment of 13 million with the additional 13 million for a general fund. The proposed toll rates for non-commercial vehicles align with those in Fort Texas, ensuring consistency with regional pricing. Additionally, the recommended toll rates for commercial vehicles are designed to remain competitive, matching or falling below, because we would still fall below some of Eagle Pass, FAR, and Del Rio. The pedestrians' rates remain unchanged with no increases suggested, and the reason why I'm not suggesting it is because if you do compare with other cities, most of them have them at $1 or less, 50 cents, so I did not recommend an increase on those. Furthermore, the study recommends that toll bridge rates be reviewed every 3 to 5 years to align with the demands of a growing trade industry and ensure the city maintains its status as the nation's leading port. So we need to review them more often instead of letting 12 years pass with Laredo. So, thank you for your time, and that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Actually,
That's great.
I do after him.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, San Juanita, and as a former mayor and current county treasurer for Webb County, it's always good to see numbers, right? And especially when you're able to, in essence, provide an overall analysis of the impacts that increases will have. As you know, there are some market fluctuations, and it's important to remain competitive not only here in our region, but across our state and our country. And to be able to see this and to be able to identify, potential fiscal impacts that will have to address a growing need in our community, in our region, and remain competitive, it's just extraordinary. And so thank you so much for the work you put into this. And it was great to see all of those figures. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I can go next. Thank you for providing a great presentation, given my background in commercial lending and also, government institutional funding regarding the bonds as well. And also with the Chamber of Commerce, in my mind, I'm thinking, all the logistic companies that come through our port, how would they, reflect on this increase? Because you have that comparison as far as other border cities, I don't think we should have a problem at all. And thank you for providing the information on the bond and the term, the debt service on a yearly basis and putting it everything, the figures, just how we want to see it. So I think it's a great presentation. I don't foresee a problem. We are a growing city as long as we stay competitive with the other border cities.
Thank you.
Ms. Zavala, I just want to thank you again for this information, and I come also from the governmental side, right, at a school district, but as a taxpayer, this is great information to hear. I know I try to keep up with the news and what's going on with other governmental entities in the city and the county, but this is great information, and I like the way you put it all together and the way you took us from the beginning as to this is what's happening and this is where we're going and how we need it. And yes, that table that you showed was great. Like to you, it was like, oh my gosh, no, it was perfect. I really like the way it explained everything and you can follow through. And I think you were able to really support the end product, which was, hey, we need a new revenue source, not necessarily a new revenue source, but taking from what we already have and being comparable to other border cities and still not being beyond what they are already charging. So I thought it was a very good presentation, and I think you explained it very well and supported your idea. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I compliment you. I'm not going to go there because I think they've been much more articulate than I can be. I mean, I was stunned actually because my perspective is from the issue of a product and its demand. And for me, the potential of Laredo, if you look at phenomena like near sourcing, if you look at characterizations like being the #1 inland port, I think it's highly undervalued. So if you look at pricing, if toll is a surrogate for pricing, pricing is a function of options and services, okay? And your presentation was very clear for a novice like me to understand that if the hinterland of Monterrey, that region, Saltillo, etc., is where there is going to be a lot of production and near sourcing, Laredo seems to be the logical port of entry. Please take all this from a novice, but for a person who reads a lot. I mean, this is my home, I ought to read. So if this place, it has huge potential with the phenomenon of near sourcing and economic activity and your projections of traffic, especially commercial traffic, exponentially increasing, I think the justification for another bridge is absolutely there. When you are charging the lowest, anything that you charge higher than the lowest, I mean, what more do you need to convince, right? Okay. But I really think that there is an opportunity cost. I don't know why this was done, that something was not looked at for 12 years. But mostly, I don't think a person like me would have the courage to say all this if your presentation was not so detailed. So I sincerely thank you, and yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Very good job, Ms. Ruby. Thank you for your presentation. We have a slight programming change at this moment. We're going to ask for Joaquin Alberto Rodriguez. Yeah, he is our first assistant city attorney in the city attorney's office. He is presenting on getting to a win-win, a comparative analysis of collective bargaining versus adversarial bargaining. Good luck, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joaquin? Is it Joaquin?
Yes.
Yes. How are you? Alrighty. Make sure is this on? Alright then.
The shirt. Team talk.
Hello. Next. Distinguished guests, colleagues, City Attorney's Office. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present my practicum. So this all started when I actually came on to the city of Laredo. When I came onto the city of Laredo, the first thing that my boss did with me was take me to meet our union members there at the fire department. And after that, it was engage in collective bargaining, something I had never done before, but I got to see a lot of wonderful people there handling this situation. My boss, Mr. Wynn, Ms. Linda Teniente, Jesus Esparza, some amazing individuals, had a lot of experience. So I really had a nice outsider's perspective of how this process took place, and I learned a lot about the process. So I wanted to use my practicums to sort of dive into that process and see, is there a better way of getting these things done? I mean, we can always improve, we can always innovate, and if there's something that we can do to make the process smoother, something to make an employment contract that is beneficial for not only the city, but our civil service unions and our stakeholders, that would just be tremendous. So that's pretty much the background of why I came to this subject. And can we make this a better process? So in researching that question, I came onto this idea of collaborative form of bargaining. If you look at the current bargaining structure that we have between our bargaining units in the city of Laredo, it is quite adversarial. It is quite contentious. With this adversarial model, you engage in a process of shrewd horse trading as opposed to coming to a collaborative effort with shared goals. Those are the type of agreements that are going to have a lasting impact, that are going to be beneficial to all parties involved. And I kind of want to preface this with collective bargaining here with civil service unions, with the city, within the government. It's different than your private sector. For those of you who are familiar with collective bargaining and unions in the private sector, it is very adversarial, and both parties have the ability to leave the table. The workers have the ability to strike. We cannot do that here in the state of Texas. Our collective bargaining units do not have the ability to strike. There could be no lockouts. They have to continue working even though an employment contract hasn't been reached. And if you look at different cities across the state of Texas, like for San Antonio, for instance, they were working for 20 years without a contract. Or I believe it was Houston. But big cities with big budgets, these civil service employees not having a contract, an employment contract, and continue to work. So we can't separate ourselves, the city, from our unions, from our firefighters, our police officers. We can't. We have to continue to work together. So that's why, in this context, a collaborative form of bargaining is going to be much more preferential, and it's gonna be better for everyone involved. So what I did in order to get my findings is I employed a Likert scale. Okay, it's a quantitative tool. It's a quantitative tool to measure attitudes
And what I found was pretty interesting. So out of all of the individuals that were surveyed, 43% of all respondents agreed that negotiations were fair. So a little less than half of the people that were surveyed believed that the negotiations were fair. Now, not an alarming number per se, but you would hope that more people would actually think that the procedures are fair, because that is sort of the precursor to building trust, and I'll touch on that in a moment. 100% of all respondents strongly agreed that trust between parties had a significant impact. So I think we can all agree with the individuals that were surveyed that trust is probably the most important thing in a successful collective bargaining or in collective bargaining. 71% agreed that a collaborative approach led to more sustainable agreements. So we even have buy-in to this idea from our employees and from our management team that a more collaborative form of bargaining is going to lead to a more successful employment contract for all parties involved. 57% did not feel prepared or supported in negotiations, while 43% remained neutral. So again, this is a very elaborate system. It's two parties working together, talking about some very difficult issues that involve employment, that involve compensation, and more than half of the individuals did not feel prepared. Preparation can lead to a much more fruitful discussion at the table. So I think if we can reduce that number and actually make people prepared for the negotiation, it may lead to a much more efficient process. 85% either disagreed or remained neutral about the openness and transparency of communication. Ladies and gentlemen, that is probably the most alarming statistic from this survey. If 100% of us believe that trust is the most important factor in a successful negotiation, and you have 85% of your people that believe that the other side isn't being open, isn't being transparent, that means that we are removing the most essential, fundamental part of this process, and that is trust. Now, it's not in this presentation, but why is trust such a big deal? Because both parties are negotiating. They are essentially putting themselves out there, putting that information out there. And if the other side does not believe what they are saying, how can that lead to any sort of fruitful compromise? All right, so 85%, it's a very alarming number. Only 14% strongly agreed that communication was transparent. Again, very alarming numbers. In not only looking at scaled questions, I also employed some open-ended questions for all of my subjects. And compensation, operational concerns, and employee morales were key motivators during negotiations. So from that, we can glean that those are going to be the topics of most importance for the bargaining units, and as well for the city as well, considering that we are going to have to fund whatever obligations are put into the contract. And some of these contracts could be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and that is how we budget for these obligations under this contract. When asking about what are certain barriers that are present in the negotiation process, what was discussed in these open-ended questions was, do the other side have hidden agendas, the negative attitudes that come to the bargaining table, and the interpersonal conflicts? And I understand, as a lawyer, I'm used to people being upset with me. It's fine. Most people take those things rather personally. And of course, we're talking about very personal things. And it's not lost, as a city employee who is at the bargaining table with these civil service employees, it is not lost to me as to what they are fighting for. They're fighting for compensation because that is the thing that feeds their families, and that is what supports their households. It's incredibly personal. But at the same time, as from the city's perspective, those monies are monies of the taxpayer. And we are supposed to be good stewards of that money, and we have to prioritize our expenditures. So these feelings can get very personal, but I think that it is important for each side to understand that it doesn't have to be personal. What we're trying to do is get down to business and make sure that we get the best employment contract possible, and really the individuals at the table are just speaking in the best interest of their side. So, knowing all the numbers, well, what is the recommendation? How can we move forward with these issues? And I think that first we have to develop ground rules and guidelines. If we're going to play a game, we need to know the rules of the game. And if the rules and the guidelines are structured so that we take into account that trust is a fundamental principle, then maybe we draft guidelines and rules before negotiation that highlight those principles. We make sure that we put in there that there's openness, that we value trust. Okay? Make sure that everyone has access to these rules to know that these are the rules that we are going to be playing by. Making sure that everyone knows what the goals are. And in that document, let's have some shared goals. I guarantee that if both parties were truly open with one another, they would be looking for the same thing. Some would be looking for compensation. The city is fine in compensating, but we want to make sure that we are getting the most for our money. And again, public safety, very important for any government institution. Probably one of the most fundamental things. We don't have anything without safety. However, we have to take into account all of the other things and all of the other services that the city does provide. Organizing workshops. I mean, you see this in the private sector all the time. You know, trust retreats. Why can't we implement something like that? Let's have a trust retreat or a retreat with potentially a mediator. And I think that's in my next slide. I may be jumping ahead. My apologies. But making sure that there are trust building sessions. And we don't have to do this at contract time. Sometimes we have 1, 2, 3 years before we get to another negotiation. In that time, let's schedule some workshops where we can have candid and open conversations about what the next bargaining session may hold. We also need to make sure that communication channels are created and that they're structured with the principles of transparency and trust. We need to make sure that each party is updated with what is going on with the other side, because that's how you develop trust and transparency. It's making sure that there are open lines of communications with both sides. Is it possible to even have a third party facilitator? A neutral third party who can look at both sides and see where the middle ground is, especially if that trust is lacking. Is there someone who can maybe build a bridge between the parties and come up with creative solutions, maybe certain out-of-the-box thinking? Could we improve our preparation resources for negotiators? Absolutely. Can we send these bargaining units for training so that they could be more efficient with their time, know how to prepare before getting into a bargaining session? Or can we, the city, set up a resource center with all the necessary tools that are needed for them so that they can be better at bargaining and they can understand the process better? Finally, after looking at everything, after looking at the recommendations, the data, a collaborative form of bargaining is going to be more effective, because when we collaborate, we are operating under shared goals, shared values, and when we have that, we can create a longer lasting, more fruitful contract between the city and our civil service employees. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the brave men and women that do serve in our police force and in our fire department. So that's all I have for you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your attention. And I will be taking questions and or comments, and I know my colleagues have questions.
I guess I'll start. Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for that information. And as the wife of a retired City of Laredo firefighter, I'm familiar with some of the terminology. But yet, this was still very enlightening because I'm kind of familiar with the previous process just from what I overhear. Not that I want to know everything, because I also work for a government, so I'm also responsible for stewardship of funds. But on the survey that you mentioned, and maybe I missed it, who was surveyed and how many individuals?
So that was probably one of the issues that sort of leads forgive me, that was one of the problematic issues with my practicum. With the benefit of time, I could have surveyed more individuals, but even then I had to do purposeful sampling. I could only ask these questions to individuals that were involved in the collective bargaining process. And just for numbers, there's about 400 firefighters. We have about 400 firefighters in our that are employed by the city. Only a handful are participate in collective bargaining. And same thing with city management. There is a team that participate. So I was only able to ask these individuals these questions and then get their feedback. To make this a better holistic picture, I would probably have to use more time and survey individuals that are outside of the city, maybe in the county, other states. I mean, it could be a much bigger project, but that's with the benefit of time and more resources.
Thank you. Yes, and even with more time, you don't want to ask someone like me that doesn't know, because I would give wrong answers. But I understand about surveys because yes, you can send out 100 and you'll get 50 back.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you.
Of course.
Should I go ahead? Yeah. Thank you. No, I'm so happy I listened to your presentation for the following reasons. Actually, the data is very stunning. So, I was thinking that there are two substantive courses of action from your data. One seems to be what you rightly identified, training. So you answered that one alarming figure of 87% who felt they were unprepared. And the other one, I think trust is a construct that needs to be disassembled. And the ingredients of trust may be a workshop where both stakeholders can understand why is this happening, what is the context, what are the constraints, who are we? We are firefighters who are part of this wonderful institution called the city, so that you treat both parties as having a stake in doing their jobs for the betterment of the quality of life of this city. So I think your data reveals important indicators for improving trust and for being prepared and empowered to take part. I have another suggestion. Since I teach research, I was thinking that certainly I would be much more confident if the sample size was increased. And also, we get so stuck by listening to people who make decisions. How about people who suffer the consequences or enjoy the consequences of those decisions? So maybe also a sampling of firefighters, some kind of a proportional sampling, design. Also, maybe if you have the time and resources, before the instrument is designed, maybe some kind of a focus group that you can have in confidence, with a very skilled moderator who says, let's talk and let's find out what is it that you would like to ask of your members. So your instrument then comes from data that is from the horse's mouth, So, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Great job, a great presentation. What I grasp, I do have to agree that, a larger group to be surveyed, I think that's going to be beneficial. But as I was, going through everything, and you mentioned the 87% that, are not trained, I would say my recommendation is to definitely have a resource center and ongoing training. Workshops are going to be great as well. I mean, there's ample time to do that as well, and have continuous workshops.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Rodriguez, first of all, great topic. And, as a community leader and public servant, it's very much appreciated. And when you are in a position of elected office, trust seems to be the biggest issue. Not only within your community and the people who you represent, but also the transparency aspect of it, right? And to talk or to address an issue as collective bargaining, not only here locally, but an issue that we see firsthand affects so many municipal governments across our state and across our country, um, really creates an opportunity for the city of Laredo to not only incorporate some of these ideas, but also lead by example. One, and when you deal with people's money, I think the transparency aspect of it is key and fundamental to that trust issue, right? As presented, 83%, I think, was a number that you mentioned that has an issue with trust, and that's a staggering number. It's staggering because I feel that the trust issue in society, and we can go on, it's a complex issue, but the trust issue in society, especially at a local government level, seems to be undermined by, I feel, in my personal opinion, by our elected leaders not being just truthful and honest, right? When people want something, it's okay to say we can't do it, and these are the reasons why we can't do it. But when you go back to the collective bargaining aspect of it and the truthfulness and transparency, there has to be some sort of mediation. And I'm glad that Dr. Mukherjee was able to, provide this information as well, and some recommendations that I think will be very fruitful in future negotiations. And I hope that our city leaders are listening. Thanks.
I have a question. To feedback on Dr. Mukherjee's comments about operationalization of your data and your future research, I think you have some real good potentials here. So there was a research in Atlanta for collaborative research, collaborative negotiations with teachers unions and the school districts. And there, I thought was interesting that they were trying to operationalize and say, so they can measure some results. So they looked at some mutual benefits that they can measure. So one was teacher certifications. Right? They want all the teachers to be better certified and trained. Student scores, test scores, and then facilities and so forth. Do you see some opportunities for mutual agreement that we can measure between us and the firefighters and police officers for your paper that you're going to publish next year?
Definitely. Again, making sure that, so the city of Laredo receives a benefit when our civil service employees are adequately trained. If they receive certifications, if they receive certain trainings that go above and beyond their duties to make them better at what they do, then it's something that we can bargain for, where we are willing to incentivize that behavior. So there is some mutual goals there. The mutual goal is, one, they want to be better trained because there's an incentive, and at the same time, the city of Laredo is receiving this benefit and getting more value for their dollar. So there are definitely some mutual goals that can be reached. And again, another mutual goal is the biggest one. What is a bigger goal than making sure that everyone in our city is safe and secure so that we can flourish as a community? I think that is something that is shared with the city as a service we are trying to provide, and hopefully the professional integrity and pride that comes with men and women getting to this type of industry.
Mr. Rodriguez, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess what I would like to see, or would want to see more, is there any published academia out there on a win-win collaborative collective bargaining? And I would like to see is what is the academia saying, when they've done the really in-depth research of this. So were you able to produce some of that stuff?
Yes, that is an excellent question, and I didn't put it as part of my presentation, but if you read my practicum paper, there is a literature review section. That is, each one of my colleagues had to do a literature review when talking about the topic. But the research was very sound, and the research was conclusive that a collaborative form of bargaining was a much more effective way of bargaining. Now, the question for us as a city is, how do we get there when it's been years of a contentious adversarial type of bargaining, right? How do we get away from that, and how do we implement this new way of bargaining or a different way of thinking? And I think that these are the building blocks or the first steps in which we, implement some of these recommendations.
Just to take off on your comment, I think what a literature review, though a literature review seems to be housed in academia, it is actually a very important part of any informed decision making, because you get to know what is happening in other areas, what are best practices, what works. And so, just a suggestion, especially if this is a presentation of your research, having some comments about what the literature or the data shows really gets people's minds to focus on, so these are the trends. And so I think both from this tool being an educational tool, but also from, to tell your stakeholders, this is what is happening in other places, gives heft to your recommendations. So I would agree with her.
Yeah, and just to piggyback, I think your presentation would have been, incredibly enhanced if you would have utilized more data, and not only graphs in essence to identify, the trends, what's worked in other areas, and what not, and even in comparison to other, collective bargaining, situations, what have been the pros and cons, in other areas, I think would have enhanced your presentation. But overall, it was a great topic.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate all the constructive criticism. Thank you very much.
Let's ask one more thing.
Sure.
Yeah, no, so.
No, Wakini, as a lawyer, we're used to adversarial context, but is there a difference when you're dealing with collaborative, with collective bargaining, because we have to go back to work with these individuals next day? So I mean, the art of the deal, we get over somebody, but then we have to face them. It's a different context, is it not?
It's definitely a different context. As a practicing lawyer, we end up going up against the other side, and we're trying to represent our client and get the best deal for them. And hopefully these clients will more than likely never ever have to deal with each other. It's very different when we have our collective bargaining unit, we have our unions. The next day we're going to have to be with one another, and we're going to have to make decisions, and we're going to have to just live as best as we can. So in actuality, this adversarial system could be, it's very, very counterproductive, sir. Okay. Anything else, y'all?
No, thank you for the insight of, informing us first, at the beginning how Texas differs, and perhaps maybe in the future, I'm not saying, the next session, but we can get to a point where we, through statistical data and literature analysis, we can get to perhaps having our legislators look into the collective bargaining tools within our state and maybe make some sort of adjustments, right, to make it less adversary.
Indeed. Thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the issue across our, I mean.
This is a practical, then go beyond things like just percentages. If there is.
Yeah. Recommend changes to the legislature.
Yeah.
Is it? It's always crazy. I wonder if we can get like a 5-minute restroom.
Yes.
All right, thank you. If I need a quick break or, okay, let's go through this. Our next presenter is going to be Joel Vasquez. He is the Assistant Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. His topic is enhanced visitor awareness and increased future visitation. Mr. Vasquez.
Good morning. First, I want to thank our city manager that's here, our assistant city manager, Mr. Valdez, and our city secretary and our HR director as well. And the panelists, thank you so much for being here and taking time of your busy schedule and being here and being part. We want to thank our colleagues, our coworkers that are here. And so I'm Joel Vasquez. I'm the assistant director for the Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau. I've been working for over 21 years with the city. And so it's been a blessing. And for my practicum, I chose to focus on enhancing visitor awareness and increase the future visitation because that's going to lead to more economic impact and more sales tax revenues for the city, and that leads to more jobs and it benefits the locals, so it's a huge benefit for the city overall. And so our practicum aims to enhance. My practicum aims to enhance the visitor awareness and visitation. As you know, Laredo is a strategic location as the #1 port in the nation, and it's a key destination for corporate travel. And so with the research that we have and the studies that we have and the data that we get, most of the travel, a lot of people come either for government business or corporate business. They come in between Mondays and Thursdays. So they stay anywhere between, an average between 3 to 4 days that they come into our city. Then they go back to their respective communities or where they live. And so business travel is often limited with time in exploring the city. And so our goal as being in a convention and visitors bureau and a tourism office is that we want for anybody that comes to our city to really explore the city and really see all the wonderful things that the city has to offer, from nature, from the arena, from the stadium, the concerts. Now we have Laredo Heat, the Teco. So we have a lot of activities and there's a lot of things that the city has implemented where even if you don't have a bike, you could rent a bike with the Parks and Leisure Department. So there's so many incentives, many programs that the city is implementing. So for those corporate and business travelers that they come to our city, we want for them to really get to taste, smell, hear, and see the city. So it's important. What our goal is for them to come back and really explore the city. So with increased tourism, like I mentioned, it's going to be a growth in our economic impact, a boost sales tax revenues, and support local business. And we did one year a giveaway for the Washington's birthday celebration. And we had a family that through Facebook, they had to sign up, and they were all mainly for people from out of town, nobody locally. And they got a weekend stay, and one of the things that the family that came in was interesting what we found out when we interviewed them, because we have to take pictures. They have to show pictures of all the areas where they go, pictures at the hotel where they stayed, the restaurants where, because we did a whole package. And what was interesting to find out was that the wife was always complaining to the husband, hey, you go to Laredo for business, but what do you do? Well, I'm just there. I go for meetings, then I get to a hotel, I go back. And he's like, you're constantly going to Laredo, but you don't really explore. So it was so interesting that she won, so she got to bring her kids, she got to really explore the city, and after that she's like, oh my God, it's beautiful, we really love the city. So that was really interesting. That's why we want to expand on this, and we want to make sure that anybody that comes in to do business or for leisure to really explore and spend their monies here and enjoy our wonderful offerings that the city has to offer. A qualitative research study offered insights into visitors' activities and identified the aspects that guests feel are lacking in Laredo. Findings will help improve visitors' experience, promote Laredo's attractions, and drive future tourism growth. And so these were my themes. It was and part of my questions that I surveyed was understanding the questions hotel guests frequently asked about things to do in Laredo. And these were all targeted to hotels, general managers, and director of sales. Identify the activities that the hotel guests most enjoy while staying at their property, evaluating where the Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau meets all the informational needs with their current collateral provided, and assessing with what guests perceive are missing in Laredo's current offerings and gaining insights into the types of collateral material hotels would prefer to use in their properties. And so this is my methodology. I did a survey. It was those 5 questions that we asked. They went specifically to the Laredo hotel industry. It was, for this, it was a qualitative thinking methodology with an emphasis on analysis of perception, because they're the ones that are telling us what they hear, what they see, and value that. One of the things that I want to make a point was it was a limited sample. So we got a good, we didn't get a huge number of responses from the hoteliers because of time constraint, but however, the information gathered came from experts in the hotel industry who have direct access to visitors in our community. So I believe that the responses that we got were really great because they're the ones that communicate with anybody that comes in and stays in their property. And like I said, our participants were the general managers, director sales, and we have the results and our findings of our data insights, and then lastly, it's our research conclusion and our recommendations with an action plan. So my first question was, what types of questions do your guests frequently ask about things to do on Laredo? Some of the responses were they're looking for entertainment options, local attractions, places where to eat and shop. Guests frequently asked about restaurants, concerts, shops, museums, and other points of interest. And guests asked about special events. So for that, it's very important for us because now we're able to target them, and I'm going to talk a little bit that in my recommendation and part of the conclusion. But it gave me more insight, things that we already know, but it's now getting that information being fed to us by the industry leaders in the hotel industry. So that was really, really good for us to know and know that we're going in the right direction. The second question was, what activities do your guests enjoy while staying in your properties? And this was more of the offerings that they offer there in the hotels. And it was guests enjoy complimentary happy hour on weekends, 1 p.m. late checkout, relaxing at the outdoor pool, participating in sports activities are also popular ways for guests to unwind, and 24-hour fitness centers. And one hotel particularly, they partner with Gold's Gym, so that was a plus for that hotel. But these are the things that the guests are looking while they stay in the different hotels here in our community. The other one was what your guests feel is missing from Laredo's current offerings. And it was more recreational space, expanded entertainment choices. So we just have one arena, but expanding to more things, more shopping. And this was, we have a lot of shopping. We have boutiques, we have the outlet shops, the Mall del Norte, and all the boutiques that we have in shopping centers within the city. But, and we have Joe Brand, that's probably our highest high-end store. But what the survey we're asking is that people they're looking for high-end brands. So, so working with this information is key because we work with stakeholders like the Kellums that are doing a lot of development within the city, working with the Chamber of Commerce, LEDC, and our own economic development. It's going to help us to really know that this information is being given to us and how it's valuable. And additional activities and water park, something that the city has been looking to do. And this is what people are asking. They're looking for more activities. And all those activities are mostly for kids. A lot of them is when you come back and you explore the cities, you want to bring your family, those that have family. And and then does the current collateral provided by the CVB meets your informational needs? Majority of the survey, they all said that we do, but I still believe that we still have room to grow and improve. And so we'll be implementing some of our, in my recommendation, some of the things that we're going to do. It says, what type of collateral materials would you prefer to use at your property? So we had a different response, but more than less, everybody liked the table tents in rooms, decals on the main entrance, decals on elevators, key cards, and then some put other, but they didn't provide what was the other. So, but we have other things that we want to do to implement. So in conclusion, destinations attract both business and leisure travels. Business travels have limited time, making it crucial for actively promote local attractions. The Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau should use pull-ups, window decals, QR code check-in card, table tents, and hotels to highlight the activities, shops, concerts, and attractions. The survey shows that most of the visitors seek recommendations of places to visit and things to do. Travelers frequently ask hotels front desk about tours, water parks, recreation, dining, and shopping. And and then providing this information can boost local travel and visitor engagement. And what you see here, that picture, I wanted to highlight it. We're actually doing another program, but this is the Laredo Coffee Tour. We partner with local coffee shops, and this map is in all the local coffee shops. We have about 20 coffee shops, local coffee shops. Any visitor comes in from out of town, they have this map. You can download it in the app if you have the Visit Laredo app. You check in with all, if you do all 20, you can receive a special limited edition mug for the coffee tour. And right now we're about to launch, and next month we're going to be launching a taco trail map. So it was very interesting because based on the research that I was doing and the feedback that I was getting, it matches the things where we're going, so we're heading in the right direction with the data that we have internally within our department. So our recommendations were based on the survey's response collected by the hoteliers and data insight that from our office, and we want to boost Laredo visibility. So we want to revamp it. Right now we're revamping our website. So we have a new vendor that's going to revamp our website. So really integrating all the information that we got from those people and make sure that we put that information so that when people search Visit Laredo, they're looking for Laredo. We have all that information that they need there. So we want to focus our messaging on Facebook and Instagram to be targeted more for what the people are looking for: recreational restaurants, local restaurants, and all this will be supported and helped by our agency, which is our Sanders Wingo. That's our agency that we have contracted through this fiscal year. And then we want to enhance visitors' information access with new brochures, window decals, pull-ups. And one of the things that we want to place them as in the local hotels, but obviously we have here the airport, because the airport is a key instrument. That's where everybody travels. Everybody is coming for business. If they're not driving, they're flying, and that's where they're here. And one of the things that it's interesting is that we partner with the airport, that we have a gift shop there as well, on the second floor upstairs. So anybody that comes and visit, if they were not able to go to our office in downtown, they go to our gift shop there at the airport that is managed and manned by the airport staff. They do a wonderful job, and it's very popular, and people get to buy souvenirs. So working in collaboration with the airport and the hoteliers, we want to do that. The first phase of this project, we already put the money for next year's budget. Obviously, it has to be approved by management, and it has to be approved by council in August. But we want to allocate money especially to buy pull-ups that we want to place in every hotel lobby, especially in the main entrance. And that pull-up is going to have QR codes. It's going to have information where they could download maps. They could download our digital visitor guide. They could get all that information. And just a perfect example that we just experienced, we were hosting a tour operator from Mexico that is trying to bring a business to Laredo conference and logistics. We were doing a tour of one of the hotels, which is the Residence Inn, that is there by Lax and Linz in that area. Right now we have a lot of government business, so they took all visitor guides, all the information. So when we were there, that was one of the things that they said, hey, we're running out of all the information, the maps that you're giving us and everything. So displaying more information there of people getting more of the information. Now with the smartphones that we all have, it's really easy for us to scan a QR code and get all the information. And and you could download the app and everything. So for us, it was that's why it's important for us to display that information so people could know what they're looking for and to explore, because the city has a lot of wonderful things to offer, from boutiques, restaurants, and so much things. And then the second phase, it would be an on-site marketing, expanding our marketing efforts with the hotels by using promotional materials. So in this case, we would set up table tents on the rooms, on each room. So when you open your room, you normally have a desk where you sit. We want to display table tents where they could get information about the city. When you check in, we want to do QR codes, check-in cards. So it's kind of like a little business card that is going to be attached to your check-in card. And so that it would help people that come in automatically. They get it. They're like, oh, you know what? I don't know anything about the city. I don't know where to go. I don't know what things to do. Let me scan it. So the second phase, we're estimating that everything that we're going to be purchasing and distributing to all the hotels, it will be about $4,000. So in total, we're estimating about $9,000 that we will be doing within the next fiscal year, and then the 26-27 fiscal year. And with this concludes my presentation. I want to thank you again for this opportunity, and I'm sure if you have any questions.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on, the convention and visitors bureau aspect. That's always a very challenging issue, no matter where you go and how you try and promote your city, right? I think we're all biased in wanting our city to be the best one. I wasn't able to catch at the beginning if your presentation this morning was targeted primarily for business or for the general public and all, because that plays a key role into my next, feedback.
Yeah, so it was strictly to the hoteliers. So it was a partnership between CBP and the hoteliers, and knowing what things work for them, and they're the ones that are in contact with the customers, with the visitors that are visiting our community. So it's getting that information from them that will allow us to really improve our marketing efforts and with our website, with our messaging that we do on Facebook and social media. And so that was the information that we wanted to. This one, my director, she did more on the citywide, and I did more focusing on the industry, which is the hotel industry.
Okay. And, I think that your presentation, and I know it's very difficult to get respondents, I think your presentation would really benefit. Maybe you might want to incorporate this, afterwards, in terms of using those peak moments where you have the Pony League and you have all the hotels filled, where you have known conferences that aren't specific to logistics or business ventures, like I'll use one for example that was recently here, the Justice of the Peace, conference, right, where you have a whole bunch of justices of the peaces from all over our state come to Laredo. The other one is the League of United Latin American Citizens that had their state convention, where you have LULAC members from the entire state visiting our community. I think that might really enhance and benefit the aspect of it. And then I think I would have loved to see how you would address key known issues in our community. And this is not to be critical. It's just a reality of the infrastructure and accessibility aspect. Because it's very good to put and advertise all these different businesses and all these shopping centers, but the accessibility to them from a hotel, and of course the infrastructure challenges that we face in our community, with Laredo being a growing community, such as increased traffic and so many other things, and the location of our airport, and then where the shopping centers are. I think that tying those challenges and finding solutions to that would really, in my opinion, really elevate your presentation. But overall, it was great.
Thank you, sir.
I can go next. Great presentation. As when you started the presentation, my mind was going 100 miles an hour. I was thinking partnerships, organizations, etc. But then I kind of figured that your group that you're working with is the hotels, based on the feedback and the surveys.
Yes.
I do have to agree that based on the surveys, I see more of your day-to-day hotel user, and not necessarily when we have Pony League, other larger groups in town, Cola Blanca, you have your hunters. They might have a different perspective as to what they want to do or why they want to come back, to our city. Now, is there a tracking tool? You mentioned $9,000 investment on both phases, but how are we tracking, our
Yeah,
return
so
of
we,
investment?
yeah, so we have a program, a software it's article, and so it gives us data information on how many, the length of their stay that they have here, how much they spend on local business. So we have that data information, and that's how it gives us. Now, Laredo is very interesting and unique because we have visitors from both Mexico and the U.S. Now, the data that we receive from Zardico is only for U.S. because it's all with our credit cards. So anytime you use a credit card, that information, it gives information to us. In Mexico, they have more restrictions on credit card use, so they don't share that information. But at least on the U.S. side, we know that how long they stay here, where they stay, what areas, what regions, and they go to so most of the popular regions where they go either for shopping, for eating, we see that it's north, central, and downtown. So downtown, it's probably the least, and south, it's expanding. The south there, it's growing, but where most of the restaurants are at and all that, so it gives us an idea of what they go for. A lot of the data shows us that they come here for shopping, for culinary, for arts, for sporting. So all that information targets that, so we help with that. And you guys mentioned the different organizations. Some of those organizations, we already help them with servicing with welcome bags. We help them with getting special rates at hotels. So we are, and there's times that we as a city, we work together, and community development has helped us. Our health department with our code enforcement officers, they go and they talk to all the restaurants and say, hey, we're gonna expect this tournament or this event, they're gonna be here in the city, make sure you have enough food. So we already do that internally within the city. But this one was really getting more insights from the hotel industry. What is feedback that their customers are getting? What do they want? So we could make sure that everything that we're doing, our efforts are being aligned together. And we're doing the right messaging, and not just targeting anywhere and not hitting anything, not aiming it, but really targeting our market.
And just one last question. So, the surveying, was it geographically all over Laredo?
All over
just
Laredo,
to make sure
yes,
that all
yes,
sections, all
yes.
districts were
Yes.
represented.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, we send it to all Laredo. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
go next. This information was very insightful for me because normally it's not something we hear about. I'm more focused on numbers.
Yes.
Well, how many tourists gone here? And
Yeah.
we want to know that, but there's a lot that goes beyond that. And it's just drawing the people in and making sure that they are aware of what's going on with the city.
Yes.
And yes, thank you for clarifying that, yes, it was limited to just the Laredo hotels.
Yes.
I noticed that there were 7 responses, but nonetheless, that's good responses.
That's
I feel
correct.
like.
Yes.
But I know, as someone, there's a lot more than just hotels right now.
Yes.
There's also Airbnbs.
That's correct.
We have individuals that sometimes come to visit family in Laredo that are not from Laredo, and even us that are here, we're like, well, we don't know what's going on. Let's have a cookout.
Yeah.
But you want to make them aware of what's
Yeah.
available, and right now your target is the hotels, but making those QR codes, et cetera, available at different restaurants.
Yeah.
The more popular ones where families tend to go so that they can also scan it and know
Yeah.
what's going on and tell their families.
Yeah.
We even have individuals that sometimes are Laredo, they come for a job, but they're literally here only for a short period of
yeah.
time with the intention of not staying, but yet they don't know what to do while they're here. So
Yeah.
all of that from the perspective of the Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau, it's a lot to take on, but I appreciate all the efforts that
Thank
you
you.
do. Thank
And I did forget to mention, well, with management approval, is we want to put those decals here in the city hall, because city hall, both the annex and the main city hall get a lot of traffic, and eventually go to all the different city departments as well. So utilizing the resources that we have, that was part of I forgot, but but that was one of the things that we want to implement is with management blessing, is that we could put it on the doors of the health department, all the different departments here in City Hall, that they'll be able to access. If they could scan our QR code, they'll be able to get all the information. So if we miss them somewhere, at least if they come here for business or meetings, or if, with the different respective departments, they'll be able to get that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have to temper. I have thought about this for over 2.5 decades because this is my home. I've been living here from 1998. I have many ideas about Laredo, about the image, about branding. My recipients are my students every year that I teach a marketing research class. Actually, there was a director of Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think he was Dr. Barber.
Okay.
And he was the one who actually called me, took me out for lunch, and gave me my only mini consulting project that was measuring the effectiveness of promotional inputs about Laredo in different media. And this was almost 15 years ago. So this is very close to my heart. I am going to give you feedback on your practicum, because I think that is going to do justice to why I am here and with the effort that you have put in. I think the practicum could have been improved. For example, there was no literature review. So a literature review really is not academic. It gives you the rationale for what is happening other places. So if your two constructs, your primary construct was awareness, and how do we increase awareness that has very positive outcomes like visitations, increase of stay, and expenditures. That's what you want from your visitors.
Yes.
So it would be very, very nice for you to have done a literature review of how do visitors and convention bureaus operate in other Texas cities. Texas is so large, we don't need to go elsewhere. So that would have given you ideas for your questions. So for me, 5 questions is very little, number one. Number two, to have respondents as only hotel managers really misses the point my colleague and compatriot over here talked about, that the visitors to the city are not just business persons. I love to read things like Texas Tribune and the AARP or Automobile Association that covers the state of Texas, and it saddens me that nothing is written about Laredo. And I want to say, why don't you interview me? I will tell you about Laredo, all the things that you can do. So your respondents have to be much richer and much more broad-based than just hotel managers. From a practicum design point of view, I would say increase who your respondents are, increase the number of questions you're going to ask, and what type of questions would be also from the literature review. And I think a practicum analysis should go beyond percentages. We are all now recipients of so many tools for analysis of data, looking at associations between variables. Is there a relationship between the length of stay and the type of activities that are required, so your data analysis could be richer rather than percentages. And so, for example, it was very impressive that practical things like what you can do in the hotel rooms, and also empowering the concierges in the hotels and the managers to be your ambassadors, so that they are able to sell your city and facilitate tours and all that. That was fantastic information. Your literature review will give you justification when you go and ask for that $5,000 and make it $10,000, But your literature, but you got to have. So I'm trying to say that academia is not really an ivory tower. Not me as an academic. I really have a foot that is so firmly, entrenched in the real world, because I think I would be a useless professor of business if I didn't know what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
So I think that is my feedback.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez, that was in my phone. Okay.
Yeah, can we take
Got it right.
just like a
Got
5-minute
it
break?
right, Mr.
Yeah,
Giovanni.
all right, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Luna, there it is.
Yeah.
Honored guest, presenter for this morning. His name is Manuel de Luna Jr. He is from the airport. His topic is going to be enhancing business relations with airlines. Mr. Manuel.
Good morning, city management, esteemed panelists, and City of Laredo TAMU staff and city staff. Thank you for being here and support. My name is Manuel de Luna Jr. I'm the operations manager of the administration of Laredo International Airport. This month in June, I'll be 10 years with the City of Laredo, so I'm excited for that. I began my career with the city as an accountant in the finance department, then transitioned to the community development department as a nonprofit and volunteer center coordinator, where I work closely with local organizations. I moved to the airport department through dedication, leadership, and professional development. I advanced to my current role, and I'm very, very happy where I'm at right now. Each step in my journey has been driven by commitment to growth and a desire to contribute meaningfully to the city progress. As part of my CPM Practicum, discussions and learning experience throughout my courses taken, I choose this topic, enhancing business relations with airlines. Did you know that airlines contribute over $1 trillion to our global economy each year? But yet again, airports struggle to have strong business relations. Quick introduction. LRD is a vital transportation hub, the airport. Serving South Texas, it provides essential air service to the city of Laredo and beyond, ensuring connectivity for both business and leisure travelers. Our strategic location sets us apart. Situated near the U.S.-Mexico border, our airport is uniquely positioned to support cross-border mobility, facilitating travel and commerce between two major economies. LRD plays a key role in international trade. As a critical link in the U.S.-Mexico trade corridor, our airport supports economic growth by streamlining the movement of goods and people, strengthening the Laredo's position as a leader in global trade. One key challenge Laredo has is limited air service and competition from nearby airports. To remain competitive, we must focus on expanding our offerings and demonstrating that our airport is valued to airlines and passengers. Despite these challenges, LRD has significant growth potential. With the right approach, we can enhance our air service, attract more air carriers, and improve connectivity for our region. By positioning LRD as a key destination, we can strengthen our role in both domestic and international markets through collaboration and strategic planning. My executive summary, the research themes I discussed in my practicum, we'll go over my methodology, the data assessment, and my conclusion and recommendations. My 5 critical and relevant themes that we'll discuss today: strategic airline partnership and network development, collaborative marketing and co-branded promotional strategies, incentive programs and financial support for airline partnerships, customer service and operational efficiency as competitive advantage, and stakeholder engagement and community support for airline development. My theme number 1, strategic airline partnership and network development. We need to identify our target markets. Understanding who's flying and why is critical. By analyzing historical passenger data, demographic trends, and industry travel needs to make data-driven decisions to identify high potential routes that align with LRD demand. Presenting a compelling business case to airlines, that's very important. Airlines prioritize productivity. To attract and sustain new routes, we must offer competitive incentives, such as revenue guarantees or targeted marketing support, while also demonstrating strong commitment from local businesses that rely on air travel. Creating sustainable route networks. Success is not about just launching the routes. It's about maintaining them. That's what's hard. A phased growth strategy starting with smaller aircraft or limited frequency allows us to test market viability and build momentum before scaling service. My theme number 2, collaborative marketing and co-branded promotional strategies. Showcasing Laredo, that's what's important. Our unique regional attributes. As the largest inland port in the U.S., Laredo is a major trade and commerce hub, creating strong business travel demand. Additionally, our proximity to Mexico drives cross-border travels of business, family visits, and even medical tourism. Aligning our marketing efforts with airline branding, by collaborating on digital and social media campaigns, we can promote Laredo alongside with airline partners, featuring destination highlights, travel tips, and special offers. Additionally, integrating airline branding with Laredo themed visuals and our terminal and jet bridges enhances the passenger experience and strengthens the partnerships. Strengthening LRD's role as an active partner, we can engage the community through giveaways, influencer trips, and promotional events with airlines to generate excitement for new routes, ensuring strong local support for expanded air service. My theme number 3, incentive programs and financial support for airline partnerships. To encourage new routes, we need to offer landing fee reductions, waivers during launch phase. Additionally, we need to collaborate with local businesses to provide revenue guarantees, ensuring financial stability for airlines entering our market. Next, supporting new routes for long-term success. Through risk-sharing agreements, we need to work with stakeholders to observe initial performance risks, making it easier for airlines to commit. We also need to promote Laredo as both as passenger and cargo hub. That's very important. Maximizing our revenue opportunities. And finally, by engaging with Chamber of Commerce, businesses, and tourism boards, we stimulate regional travel demand, ensuring strong route performance. My theme number 4, customer experience and operational efficiency as competitive advantage. Improving customer service to build passenger loyalty. We want those customers to come back. Currently, we're in the process of streamlining checking and security services, mobile boarding, TSA pre-check-in to reduce wait times. Inside our terminal, we need to look into comfort with better sitting, charger stations, and more welcoming environment. Additionally, by partnering with local businesses, we need to be offering unique dining and shopping options that showcase Laredo's culture. Optimizing operations to support our airline partners. We're improving airside and landside efficiency by upgrading taxiways and apron areas to maximize aircraft delays. We need to be working closely with airlines on targeted marketing, real-time travel updates, and local event promotions to drive demand for new existing routes. My theme number 5, stakeholder engagement and community support for airline development. Building a united front with stakeholders. We're in need to enter partnerships with corporations, trade associations, and freight operators to highlight consistent business travel demand. Additionally, we need to be leveraging Laredo's trade hub status to attract both cargo and passenger airlines. Fostering community alignment. Public awareness campaigns, that's very important. We need to educate residents on how air service development drives economic growth. At the same time, we'll secure commitments from stakeholders to support and sustain new air routes through financial and promotional efforts. My methodology, how I acquired this information, I created a survey, a 5-question survey with a total of 26 responses. My participants were community passengers, aviation professionals, to include airport employees, airlines, and airport directors. My major responses on factors and strategies were competitive financial incentives and promoting local tourism and business opportunities to airlines. Also, improving dining and retail options to passengers and streamline security and boarding process. This is my data analysis highlights. My first question was on my survey was, what factors do you believe are most important to consider when forming business partnership with an airline? With a 61.5%, competitive financial incentives to airlines came on top. You know, landing fees, passenger incentives. My second question, what marketing strategy would help Laredo International Airport attract more airlines or encourage airlines to expand air service. 42.3%, promote local tourism and business opportunities to airlines. My third question was, what type of incentives or support programs would be most effective in encouraging airlines to strengthen their partnership with the Laredo International Airport, with a 46.2% financial incentives. Fourth question, how important is the passenger experience and airport facilities in building strong partnership with airlines? With a 42.3%, improving dining and retail option for the passengers. And my fifth question, how can Laredo International Airport encourage local stakeholders to support growth of airline partnerships and increase air service development? Came with a tie with a 30.8%, partnering with local businesses for promotional campaigns, and coordinating with government entities for funding and policy support. My recommendations, competitive financial incentives, we need to promote local tourism and business opportunities. We need to improve dining and retail options at an airport, and we need to coordinate with government entities, funding, and policy support. By implementing these recommendations, Laredo International Airport can strengthen its relationships with airlines, enhance its market position, and see the possibility in creation of an air service development fund to increase air service offerings for our airport. Thank you very much. Do you have any comments?
I wish I had more questions, but this was such new information for me that I thank you for it, and thank you for
Yes.
doing the survey. I wish I understood more about what it is to have a partnership. And normally you'd think that the airline would be the one seeking the airport, but it seems to also be the other way around, the airport seeking the airlines to come. And thank you for mentioning about the importance of making sure you can't go all in and promise the world, because you don't want to be traveling with one passenger on board. So that's good information there. But it was very insightful for me in that I was not familiar with this process and how it works. And I know the airport, being as small as it is, I like our little airport. I like that it's right there, it's concise.
Convenient.
Yes. And even the limited food offerings are good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Manuel,
Yes.
great job on trying to, I guess, present your practicum in, an overview present, especially a topic that's very detailed and complex, right? With that said, I feel that you missed a lot of opportunities at the beginning to really let your audience know exactly, your specific target market. And most importantly, I feel especially to provide an introduction, in terms of what exactly was going to be conveyed, right? I would have loved, and maybe it's in your detailed practicum, I would have loved to also see, have these recommendations or, have they been implemented elsewhere, or what contributes to the success, of, let's say, the DFW airport, or, other, or, maybe smaller business, friendly airports. I think a comparison of sort would really, elevate the context of your presentation, because overall I feel that you provided a lot of information, and it was just too much to take in, but nonetheless very, appropriate and useful. However, I feel that perhaps, making those comparisons, providing a little bit more detailed on your recommendations in terms of, real specifics would really elevate the overall presentation. But, nonetheless, for a very complex thing, and I think what I really enjoyed the most out of all the other presentations is that you were able to let us know, or let your audience know, how many respondents, how many surveys, and it gave us a more clear picture. And I think if I would dare say I agree with that survey about what we need more food options, right? But nonetheless, it's a great start to something that I think the city of Laredo has been working on for quite some time. I think trying to utilize and capitalize Laredo's importance as being a major land port, and how this aspect of air cargo and business would hypothetically or potentially affect that component, and what the offset of the revenue stream would be some insightful information that I think not just us, but I think the decision makers down the line would really benefit from it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will, Manuel,
Yes.
yeah. I wish this research was better designed. I was really confused about where your themes fit in. So I was asking, do these themes flow from what the data showed? So, a much cleaner research design would be important. I think your topic is extremely sharp. Your focus of interest is the airlines, and you want to enhance relations with airlines. Absolutely clear. But then, if you deconstruct those constructs, once again, I think by not doing a literature review, you actually don't do justice to yourself. You really don't know what is the meaning of a relationship between an airline and a city. What are the ingredients of that relationship? What are best practices of relationships like DFW? What is it that is lacking in smaller airports or our airports is the background research, right? Then that research will tell you a 5-item scale will not, questionnaire will not cut it. So I would have expected many more questions, because you're compromising. You're getting that person to talk to you, right? Better ask more than 5. Maybe give a coffee. Then the other thing is, I was a little bit confused that actually, if you have data from respondent groups, so for me, the biggest and the most authoritative respondent group are people who are actually in that business, or business managers, correct? Of course, customers matter, business travelers matter, business travelers and their companies, the companies who are making arrangements to take this person to Laredo. So to group all these people as being respondents, okay, but maybe if you go more than 27, actually, the critical limit of the number of people that you need to have authoritative results is 50. Yes, anywhere they will not accept it. Yeah. And if a research group is telling you they're going to do work, have a look at the size, or just call me. I will tell you. One phone call, okay? But the point is, you have to have numbers. Because without numbers, how can you say that I have confidence? Am I making sense? Suppose there are 500 households, and you say I spoke to 30 households. Look at the percentage, right? There is no confidence. And please take this from a spirit of
Of course.
very passionate
Growth,
teacher,
yeah, yes.
just a teacher
Yes, yes,
on,
of
on
course.
my way out.
Of course.
But I mean, education is for everyone.
Yes, of course.
It cannot be hoarded, right? So to that extent, it could be. But I agree with my friend over here. You have very rich data. Actually, now the task is working on those themes.
Yes.
Everything is known,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't it?
Yes, of course.
The person telling you what they're telling you is to add credence to what you know.
Yeah.
But now the hard task of, once again, I think Laredo is highly underpositioned. Underpositioned. Our potential is much more than what is perceived.
Yes.
So, actually, I would go and find out, why do people drive to San Antonio?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That is one very good data set. And so sometimes in research, what do people do elsewhere that is good gives you an idea of what we are not doing.
Yes.
But your findings are so rich, your themes are awesome, awesome. And I think the real work is really picking up pieces of those themes and implementing them. So thank you very much. This has been another area that I've thought of in my mind. I have a lot of free time, and you gave
Perfect timing.
and you gave me language to think about.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Manuel,
Yes.
great presentation. I do have to agree that the participants on the survey were very broad and limited. I think maybe getting more of the carriers to be surveyed as well, increase route connectivity. I think that's very, very important. At the end of the day is, we're, as a city, we're fiscally responsible, before building these relationships or seeking to build these relationships, we gotta be prepared, right?
Yes.
We gotta be prepared for, the workload that may come with it, financially as well, to add, either routes, whether it's to Mexico, I mean, and I think we've experienced that, right? That we added, an airline, to Mexico, and then, we stopped, right? So, look into that as far as, what issues, so we don't, do them again. Because yes, we're building relations, but we don't want to lose them either. We want to strengthen.
Yes, of course. No, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add just really quick. It's really hard to put all your practicum into just one PowerPoint slide.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, if you have a chance to read my practicum, I do show the comparisons. I do show other airports. Right. But it's really hard to put it all in one. But I do thank you for your comments, your feedback. And before I go, I just want to take the opportunity. Quiero agradecerle a mis papás que están aquí presentes, mi papá y mi mamá. They're here to support, so I wanted to thank them. Gracias por estar aquí. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel.
Thank you, thank you.
On behalf of the City of Laredo and Human Resources and of course our management teams by this, Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. We appreciate the input you provided for us. Panelists, you are so invaluable to this process for us. It is not just a CPM class for them. These are our future leaders of the organization and public administration. Your input is invaluable to what we do here. It makes the program successful. It puts everybody on edge everybody was a little bit nervous today, and I can sense it in everybody. But it's reality. We are responsible, we're fiscally responsible to the citizens of Laredo, and we're here to provide an excellent product to our citizenry, so thank you all so much. To the CPM class that presented today, y'all did exceptional. Congratulations for going through a whole program. I cannot tell you how proud we are of y'all to see the product being presented to this group. This is exactly what we want to see in everybody. To our guests, our directors that have taken the time to be here, thank you for showing the support of our staff members. It means a lot to have you here. I know everybody's schedules are super busy, but
but you take the time to be here and contribute to our employees. We want to thank you. Before our panelist leaves, this is what programming Sulema and her team have told me that I have to say, is we have a little token of appreciation to our panelists we'd like to present them with. And also after the presentation of our tokens of appreciation, we'd like to have a picture with all the CPM presenters today along with the panelists and our TAMU representatives. So I'll turn it over to Sulema.
So panelists, if you could come down, first of all, I know that the cohort participants this is the very first time that we've used a panel of experts from outside of the organization to provide feedback. It maybe was something a little bit out of their comfort zone. They were going, who, what, when, where, and why? It's never been done before. But I really do believe that the organization the city as an organization is the one that is benefit from this outside input that you gave our presenters this morning. It has been invaluable. I think that even though those cohort participants that are scheduled to present this afternoon and or tomorrow are already kind of like, okay, I need to make sure I do this, I need to make sure I do that. You know, even though it's going to be a different panel, okay? But thank you so much. But having said that, when I call your name, if you don't mind stepping down, because we are going to take a group picture of the four of you with the four presenters today. Dr. Mukherjee. A very small token, something for you to stay hydrated.
Yes.
A certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much for your time. We know for your time. Honorable Raul Reyes. I know he's busy, so when he said yes, I was going, woohoo! It helps to have a relationship with some people. Okay, Marty? Thank you so much for everything. And of course, Miss Rossi. So we will take a picture along the line. Yes. Sí, aquí en la parte de atrás. Yes. Yes. Don't forget, panelists, give you and for those of you who presented, I will make copies and give you your feedback form, okay? And for Dr. Haruna, and then, thank you, sir. Eddie Christini? Okay, how, don't worry.
Si quieren con sus, can I take a picture with your certificates?
Oh, we need to just got a project. Well, we're doing, I can bring a conference. Oh, yes.
That's better. Vamos, ¿quién falta?
Dr. Mukherjee.
Perfect. Picture here.
You closer? Yes, there you go.
Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
One more. Sorry.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Now, with everybody, participants.
2 and 2.
Two, yeah, 2 and 2.
Sí, sí, sí. Two and two, yes. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. One picture here. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
One more.
1, 2. Perfect.
I don't know it.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, one last one.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Maldonado, let's go join the group.
One more.
Go, buddy, let's go, buddy. Y'all look great.
Yes. Come on. Yeah.
What did I do?
Oh. Ready? First picture here. 1, 2. Oh, wait. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Almost. Thank you.
Nobody moves, please.